Welcome to the end zone. I'm Rob.
I'm Ray, and today's episode, we're just gonna kind of do like how we did last week. So, talk about how our week went, fantasy wise, and just do a. I kind of like the free for all setup, and I think we both agreed on it. So we're just gonna keep it more casual like that from now on. I feel like. So I guess we could just go and deep dive right into it. How did your week 7 go?
Oh man, well, I was pretty optimistic going in. I was a little uncertain about my running back situation, but then I saw that Jordan Mason was healthy, and so I was like, okay, he's going to play. And the Chiefs got a tough defense, but I think, with the Niners situation and people have been banged up, I felt pretty good. And then James Conner, I was feeling pretty good about. I was kind of on the fence about Najee Harris. I'm like, well, they're playing the Jets. I don't think they're going to have that big of a run game going. But with the shakeup and everything that's been happening, got kind of scared to play him. So I kind of wish I would have because he actually got double digit points. So I put Austin Eckler in my flex, and that didn't go too well. So that's one of the things that I was kind of struggling with. And then receiver wise, Jamar Chase did good. Jaden Reed, man, like disappeared. So
Yeah,
Wicks
you
got
did.
a lot of love. Dubes got a lot of love, or Dobbs. And yeah, so that was kind of taking some of the targets, and then poor Bake, man, and guy balled out on Monday night, and unfortunately, it was on a losing effort on my team. So I lost to our producer, your fiance Gabby. So shout out to her for kicking my butt. How did your week
Yeah,
turn out?
not good at all. I got blown out by 40 points. Yeah, so it's been a rough year for me. Sadly, I'm in last place right now. I have a combination of the injury bug and then also just looking at points against. I mean, I was looking at it last night, and my points against this year is 911.44, which is just crazy. On top of, my team getting injured and Tua getting injured, so Achan's kind of a wash when he's out.
Mm-hmm.
And just the points against though aspect, I'm like, dude, 911's crazy. The next highest is 877.34 for Marco. So I'm like, it's just it's been a rough ride so far, and it sucks. I mean, I played Gila Monsters who had a big week last week, and I felt good going into this week. I felt like my matchups were good. Just Jaden Daniels gets hurt for me, can't really do much there. Malik
Yeah,
Neighbors was quiet. Devon Achan, J.K. Dobbins didn't do much. Tank Dell was an absolute flop. I was pretty pissed at that, but it is what it is. But David Njoku he ended up panning out pretty well. So that was nice. And then, you know, Gila Monsters on the other end had Jameer Gibbs go off for 32 points, so it's like it was just one of those days where uh once I saw he had Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown too, once I saw them connecting too, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna win this week. It's kind of hard to overcome that, but just kind of looking around the league too. Yeah, I mean, Gabby, second highest score of the week. So, like you're saying, shout out to her. She had 138.54. She had Joe Burrow, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, who just got suspended, Bijan Robinson, Joe Mixon, Zach Ertz, Chuba Hubbard, Will Lutz, and the Rams defense against that poor Raiders offense. So,
yeah,
great week for her. But the biggest, I mean, shout out for the whole season, honestly, is Charles Pelagrosa, man. He's killing it, dude. He's got Lamar Jackson, who had 5 touchdowns, Drake London, Devontae Smith, who didn't do much, but makes up for it with Saquon Barkley and Kyron Williams as his running backs.
yeah,
Brock Bowers, he's actually on pace to break the rookie receiving or receptions record. So that's pretty surprising there. And then Xavier Worthy, Academy Fairbairn. Colts defense against, I mean, the Dolphins, that's a no-brainer play right there with, how our offense has been. But shout
yeah,
out to him, man. He's been killing it this year.
yeah. He sure has, and it's been kind of a lot of parity happening this year in the league because Anthony is number two, and Corey and Anthony have been kind of towards the bottom tier the last couple seasons. So it's kind of nice to see them coming up and shaking things up. Gila Monsters and Gabby are 3-4, tied 4 and 3. So the top two spots are 5-2, but Corey with all those points, he's leaps and bounds ahead of Anthony.
Yeah.
And then you got Gabby and Elliott, so they're battling for the 3 and 4 spot right now, and they gain separation of points. 877 versus 788, so
Yeah.
that's kind of a lot.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
feel
I'm
like
I'm
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Cut you
no,
off.
no, you're good. No, I just there a lot of us are 3 and 4, so from I'm starting the bottom tier, and so I'm in fifth based on points, but there's 5 of us that are 3 and 4. You're still right there in the mix. So at
Yeah.
2 and 5, so I know it's not promising, but there's still a lot of things that can happen, especially with all the injuries that just kicked off over this
Yeah.
past weekend. Major injuries.
Yeah, what I was
So
gonna say is just how this league like literally just flip-flop from last year to this year.
yeah,
I mean, I guess it's kind of cool. I feel like how you did the draft though kind of maybe affected it too because you get these people that are struggling for these years, and this year my dad switched the draft to where if you got last place you get the first pick, like kind of like how it would be
yeah,
in the NFL. So I think it
and
was
we've
kind of a good shakeup for that.
we've always done random, so that was kind of how it was always randomized. So we didn't
Yeah.
want people kind of tinkering with their lineups, too much to where they're giving themselves a competitive advantage going into the next season. Kind of like when you tank a season for the first pick, right? Kind of thing.
I'm
So
thinking
that's
about
kind
it.
of,
No.
yeah. So we were kind of, we've been doing it, randomized for quite a few years, since we started the league, maybe like 10 plus years ago. And so now, the way things have been kind of shaping up, we're all kind of used to the flow of the league, the keepers. So then we decided that, okay, well, let's just do it the right way. Let's go. If you finish last, you get the first pick, because the way the keepers are moving up now too. So some of us early in 3 or 4 years ago were keeping the 8, 9, 10, 10th round free agents and stuff like that, people that we might have traded for, and so now moving them up the chain is really affecting things. I
Yeah.
know for me personally, I didn't have a live pick until the third round, so I'm like, shoot, and Christian McCaffrey was my first pick, but I hadn't seen the field
Yeah.
yet, so so yeah, it definitely have impacted things, and you know,
Yeah, I think it was a good shakeup for sure. I mean, I feel like it keeps it fun for everybody too, because then, these people that struggled the year before, they get a chance at some. I mean, you're not going to get typically like Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, but uh, just like top tier guys that maybe could be in for a big year, like Pellegrosso drafted Saquon Barkley. I mean, if he wasn't that high of a pick, you probably wouldn't have got him, and who knows how his
hmm
season would have been. But I feel like it was
yeah,
definitely a
great
good
point,
shakeup.
great point.
And yeah, because you figure like we have people like us where we have our guys that carried us our championship last year, so we're going to be a little more typically established. I mean, it's kind of not panning out this year, but um, typically we'll be more established and like have our guns ready. And then you have these guys that struggled. Maybe they were missing some pieces, and now they get to get those pieces in the draft. So it's
hmm
kind of cool.
Yeah,
Um,
it's almost like if
yeah,
it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
yeah.
it's like what did I do? Why did I do this to us?
Yeah, kind of like piggybacking what you were saying about McCaffrey. I mean, dude, like my top two picks, Jonathan Taylor's been hurt.
hmm
Devon Achane, with Tua going down, he was looking good in the first two games, and then after that, it's just man, it's been rough. And then drafted Anthony Richardson kind of high, so he wasn't really that good. But I picked him back up. Spoiler alert for this next week. So, but yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff going around the league too. Week
Yeah.
7, a lot of big time injuries and big takeaways too that I've been seeing. So, uh, I guess we could just kind of talk about like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans going down, man. That's
Mm.
that's so bad for the Buccaneers and for fantasy perspective. I feel like the most beneficial person of this is going to be Kate Otton, and then maybe Rashad White too, because Baker Mayfield's going to look for guys that he trusts. So
hmm
I feel like Kate Otton for sure is going to be the biggest winner of these injuries. But just man, it's how do you feel about Baker going forward now?
Man, that, yeah. I was bowling last night, and so then I kind of caught wind about Evans going down and then Godwin going down. So, that was out there on the lanes, and that was unfortunate because both of those guys are having great seasons. And, like I was saying before, Evans, that guy's like 6 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Went for that second touchdown and popped a hammy. trying to get those
Yeah.
feet dragged, and so that was unfortunate. And losing Godwin for the season, that's huge because he'd been playing so well.
Gosh. Yeah.
And so now Baker's been number one in fantasy points scored. So now, yeah, I mean, I have Mahomes on my bench. Honestly, I'm kind of thinking of dropping Mahomes. I never thought I'd say this, but
Really?
yeah, I'm kind of, he's been so underwhelming this year, and every year since the last, since I got him like what 3 or 4 years ago, it's been a steady decline. And so now, once they lost Tyreek Hill, that offense took a step back, and all the weapons that are out this year, it's kind of hard. And then thinking about next season already, like he's going to be my third pick. So I
Mm.
don't know if that's good value for a third pick with someone that's been, I mean, yeah, they're 6-0. I get it. They're undefeated in league. I get it. But the fact that he's been underperforming from a fantasy perspective, that's how I got to manage my team. And so now I'm kind of wondering if I even want to hold on to him. So
I
wink,
will
wink.
say
You want to
this.
want to
I
trade?
mean, you want Justin Fields? um, I feel like, you know, I think the law of averages have to play out at some point. I mean, dude, the guy's he's the best quarterback in the league. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I mean, I guess you could kind of argue Lamar Jackson this year. Lamar Jackson's just, gosh, he's so good this year. But if I'm picking any quarterback, me personally, I'm picking Patrick Mahomes. So I'm like, dude, like he has to turn it around at some point. Like this has been 2 years. I feel like he's been game managing a lot. But
Hmm.
also, it's like, who can really match the Chiefs? Like, unless they're in a big scoring game like against the Bills or the Ravens, they're so good, man. Like they have an elite system in play.
Yeah.
So like to your point, I mean they're gonna play the Raiders, so it's like how often is he really gonna throw the ball? Is he gonna have to throw it a lot? You know, it's probably gonna be the Kareem Hunt show.
Hmm.
Um Now with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin going down too, you're versing Baker Mayfield the next week. I mean, uh it could be a potential shootout, but now without his top two weapons, I mean, how good is the Bucks offense going to be now? And then,
Right.
you play Denver week 10, also good defense and poor offense. So, yeah, I kind of get the concern, and it's actually been pretty alarming how little production he's been doing, but I just think it's because of him not needing to throw the ball and air it out,
Sure.
you know?
Well, I
I
mean,
think
he's got 8 interceptions this season already, and we're not
that's
even
yeah,
we're like barely hitting the halfway mark,
that's pretty
which is
uncharacteristic too, yeah.
yeah, and I get some of them are hitting guys in the hands or getting deflected, that happens a lot, but he's also made some kind of questionable throws at times this year, and it hasn't been Mahomes like, and I think losing Rasheed Rice was huge. You
Yeah.
know, I get that, but they've also have other, McCall Hardman's there. They're familiar with each other. Juju is down and out now, so that's another problem. Kelsey's been, underwhelming this year, but they have, like Watson's always been good. Gray's been good, as a secondary tight end.
True.
So they had guys that and then another guy that I kind of think about too is Jerick McKinnon. Like when they had McKinnon, that was
Yeah, he
another
opened up a lot.
safety blanket he had. Because you could put him in the slot, you could put him out wide, you can line him up in the backfield. So he was pretty versatile. So I think having Kareem Hunt's going to help. And he's been doing really well. And that's why they've been managing the game. That defense has been playing elite
Gosh.
defense.
Yeah.
They suffered a huge blow on defense this past weekend. So, that was unfortunate, but man, I don't think with the way the Chiefs are playing, it's kind of hard to really see anybody stopping them. And I know they're not an offensive juggernaut, but their defensive schemes are just so good. And, they're able to contain the other offense's weapons, against the Niners. I mean, talking about injuries, Ayuk gone for the season. That was a big blow. Debo with freaking pneumonia in the
Yeah,
hospital.
that's
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 not good,
scary, man. Saw
you
that
know.
too.
So that's a depleted Niner team. They didn't have Juwan Jennings, and they were still able to get it. The Chiefs were able to get it done, even though it was a depleted Niner team. But they've always played well against Baltimore and those powerhouse teams. The Raiders seem to have the Chiefs' number. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders actually win this week, even though Aiden O'Connell's out for 4 to 6 weeks with a broken thumb, and they lost Devontae Adams to the Jets. So
Yeah, I don't really see it happening. I mean that gosh, man, their run defense is horrendous, especially without Wilkins. So now you got
yeah,
Kareem Hunt with the Chiefs. I mean, it's kind of like, dude, he's looking he's not as good as like he was, but he's looking like he's never left the system and he's kind of fit in really well there. So I don't see the Raiders beating them. I wouldn't be surprised if, the Chiefs lose maybe one or two games this year at the most. They're looking
hmm
pretty, they're just a dynamic overall team. I mean, it kind of reminds me of with Mahomes this year, it's reminding me of like Tom Brady when he was near the end of his Patriots career when it was like,
hmm
dude, they were so good all the time. Like he just game managed. You come to a point and it's like you just want to win. And I feel like that's what it's coming down to. Like they're just winning. So it's like they don't really need to rely on him to be hero ball anymore, almost.
yeah,
So, um, but yeah, there's another quarterback too that surprisingly got a start, Mr. Russell Wilson for the Steelers. Sat my guy Justin Fields, who was a top 10 fantasy quarterback. So that was kind of sad for me. It was a head scratcher too in general, but man, Steelers, I mean, they performed well, and he scored three touchdowns. I don't know. That doesn't look good for Fields, honestly, especially with Tomlin going Lone Ranger on it, like you said. So,
yeah,
uh, a quick, I mean, analysis though. I feel like the numbers were kind of a lie. He looked bad. Like in the beginning, I don't know if you watched the game at all, but dude, he was like missing easy throws, like super bad throws.
yeah.
And the plays, the Pickens, besides he threw a nice goal line fade to him for the touchdown. Aside from that, dude, like George Pickens bailed him out on some like ridiculous circus catches. It was pretty wild. So I think, in my opinion, it was kind of lucky. It was a lucky performance. I'm not gonna lie. And Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, I mean, they turned the ball over tremendously. He couldn't get on page with Adams, so like, but Russell Wilson did do his job and capitalize. Like he got the team in the end zone, which was the big thing. But
yeah.
I don't think he played as good as the stat lines show. Just well, for what I'm saying.
Well, in a way, this is kind of his preseason too. But
That's
yeah, I
true.
mean, you're 4-2. Like, why would you switch? I mean, Wilson's on a 1 year contract. I'm like, why would you switch? You know, and how about Devontae Adams losing twice to to the Jets in 1 week? He lost on Monday night
Uh,
again with the
oh, the Steelers,
Raiders,
yeah,
and then
it's the Steelers. Yeah,
or the Steelers. Yeah, so yeah, he lost on Monday night, to the Steelers with the Raiders, and then he's a Jet and loses again. So,
I gotta say,
but
man, I was like, I get why they traded for him, but I think it's too late.
yeah,
I think it's too late for it.
yeah, that's what you were saying last episode. And I tend to agree. I kind of thought it was going to look a little different. The excitement of everything happening and stuff, but yeah, unfortunately, it didn't go that way. And I still, yeah, the roll of the dice with the Russell Wilson. I mean, it panned out against the poor Jets team, so we'll see how it goes, how it is going forward. One,
Yeah,
one, one thing, when he's down in the red zone and those, back of the end zone corner throws, he's pretty accurate with those throws.
yeah, the one he had to Pickens. I mean, it was a nice fade. Like it was a good
Yeah.
toss for sure.
So that
Um,
accuracy, I think, is going to help in the red zone. But yeah, it's just still when you're 4-2, why would you switch?
yeah, I mean, they were performing okay in the red zone. I mean, Fields had like five touchdown rushes. So he was pretty much like their biggest red zone threat with his legs. But yeah, Wilson, I mean,
hmm
just throwing that ball up on that nice fade to Pickens was like, okay, well, that looked pretty good. But I don't know. I mean, they get the Giants. Me personally, like, I'm a big quarterback guy, and I just don't see I don't see him being a big difference maker. The only thing he did really good was he commanded the whole game. Like with his audibles and like the tempo of the game, he's really good at that. Like he did that really good. But in terms of his throws, dude, like it was pretty alarming. Like I've been a Russell Wilson fan for a while. It looked nothing like it. Like, dude, he was like short arming them. There was a play where it was like a bubble screen to receiver, and he hit the ground he hit the ground short of the receiver. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like it was pretty bad. Like
Wow.
I'm telling you, the stats they're a lie right now. They really are.
They
But
don't they
we'll
don't pass
see.
the eyeball test, huh?
Oh no. I mean, besides the like that throw to Pickens in the red zone, yeah, like that was a great throw. Like he did have a few throws, but the play, like there was one play to George Pickens, he threw it up. I mean, Pickens like pretty much Randy Mossed it. Okay, cool. There was another play like tight coverage, defender deflected it up, and then like it was like a bubble, like bobble catch for Pickens. I was like, dude,
Mm,
like these are kind of lucky, like. But yeah, I mean, the Steelers got the win. They looked good. Another guy balling out is just Jared Goff. Like he's looking good this year. I feel like the Lions, without Jameson Williams, I think they're going to be okay still. Um, they got Tim
yeah,
Patrick, who could be a beneficiary, but I feel like the biggest beneficiary is going to be actually Sam Laporta, based off that.
yeah. And then did you watch I saw the Jacksonville New England game. So I was up at 6:30 in the morning.
Brian Thomas
Uh,
Jr., man.
Brian Thomas Jr. and Tank Bigsby, man.
Take
Holy
yeah.
smokes.
I'm like, I wouldn't
So,
even mess with ETN anymore,
no,
honestly.
at this point, ETN's got to be the backup, right, when he comes back in.
I
So,
would maybe give him like 5 to 7 touches of the change of pace. That's it. Like
yeah,
Tank Bigsby's just, dude, he's looking pretty damn good.
yeah. So that was pretty incredible. I mean, Philadelphia, another game that was pretty good was the Green Bay Houston game.
Yeah.
So Green
Well,
Bay was able to gut it out, but that was another good matchup, I think, for both teams. Both teams have been playing well. I mean, Houston's receiving core, losing Nico Collins was big. Tank Dell was kind of non-existent, but I think you know Mixon is doing his thing. He ran the ball well.
he did really
You
good.
know, I
It was
really
weird
liked.
seeing Stroud struggle though, like bad.
Yeah,
He only had
yeah,
86 yards and 47.6 completion. I was like,
yeah. That was a little alarming. But the Green Bay's defense, I think, is underrated too. I mean,
oh,
they were
they're
playing
good.
at home, so that defense, I think that's a really, really top tier defense this year because the way they've
Yeah.
been playing, they came out real, set the tone early on in the season, and they haven't looked back so far. So that was another, I think, good victory for Green Bay.
Yeah, that was a really good win. And Jordan Love struggled at first too, and then he kind of turned it around.
Hmm.
So I feel like I knew I like Jordan Love, like I said before, coming out of college, but I just didn't think he'd be this good, honestly. Like he's really outperforming, I think, what everybody expected. He was kind of a question mark with his raw ability, but dude,
Yeah,
he's really molded into a top tier quarterback. Like he's looking pretty damn good.
yeah,
Um,
and Dobbs and Wicks had good games. I mean, Dobbs didn't have a touchdown, but he had all the catches. So,
I
that was
guess,
pretty good for them.
yeah, I guess the suspension kind of worked out.
Yeah. And one game that did surprise me was Seattle beating Atlanta at home. So Atlanta was at home, and I really thought they would have gave Seattle a better game than they did. So I was a little shocked by seeing the outcome. 34-14. Geno Smith 2 touchdowns. Ken Walker.
Gosh, Ken
69
Walker's good.
yards and a touchdown. DK. I mean, another guy that's week to week, but 4 catches, 99 yards and a touchdown. Um, I just was really shocked to see Seattle go up there and just punch them in the mouth.
Yeah, they handled business. I mean, Kirk Cousins struggled. He had the two interceptions. I mean, he threw for over 200 yards, but yeah, just it wasn't pretty. I feel like Kirk Cousins always has those random games though, where it's like, dude, he's so streaky. That's what it is. Like he has good games, and then there's just like one or two games in between where it's like, oof, man, it's rough. So that's kind of like the
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins experience, and I mean, he doesn't have the weapons he had too with the Vikings. So I mean, Drake London's he's looking good, but he's not Justin Jefferson. Darnell Mooney's not Jordan Addison. Um,
no,
but Bijan Robinson looked really good. I feel like he's starting to trend upward. So that's good for their team at least. He was kind of a guy that started out slow, but he seems like he's picking up the speed, so that's good.
yeah, no, I
Um,
agree.
yeah, another. I mean, those are pretty much I would say the biggest takeaways. I mean, I guess the Saints they're kind of screwed without Derek Carr though. They look pretty bad against the Broncos. I mean, it was horrendous. Um,
Yeah, yeah, they're in trouble big time. I think Alvin Kamara, I think his he came out early on in the season as a top tier running back producer for fantasy, and I think now, yeah, they're in major trouble. That defense is not as good as it used to be. I mean, Denver came in, handled business, beat them 33-10, all up and down the field. Javante Williams, just running all over the place.
Dude, he
You
looked
know, and
good.
that offense was just struggling. Rattler was trying to do the best that he could. I mean, 25 of 35, but only 172 yards, no
Yeah,
touchdowns,
it's pretty empty.
no interceptions, but you know,
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was like watching the game. I was like, dude, I started the Saints defense this week, and I was like, well, they're playing the Broncos, at home. They should be okay. Oh, it was a horrible mistake, and I thought I messed up. I should have started the Steelers defense, but it really wouldn't have mattered anyways with how much I lost. Yeah, it was pretty bad for the Saints. It's kind of alarming. I'm like, I don't know if they're going to save their season at this point. So, but
yeah, yeah,
how
that's
you
tough.
how you feeling going into week 8? How you prepping and
Well, this
what's
week,
new?
so I'm rolling. I'm playing Gila Monsters this week. So he's been kind of a nemesis so far because him and I, years past, we're usually pretty even. I think he's got
Yeah,
the edge on me this week. I'm still gonna roll with James Conner, Mason as my running backs. I actually picked up Khalil Shakir, so I've got him in my flex right now at Seattle. I kind of feel like he's coming back. He had a decent game this past week, so 7 receptions, 65 yards. He's kind of getting back into the mix. They're playing a Seattle team that's coming off of a victory. I think they're due for a letdown, and so that's kind of where I'm eyeing towards. I got Najee Harris on the bench again. They're playing the Jets,
Giants.
so or the Giants. Yeah, sorry, they're playing the Giants, and so he's got double-digit games the last 2 weeks, and so I don't know. I feel like the Giants defense has been a little bit better against the run than some of the other teams that he's been up against with the Jets and the Raiders. So right now, I'm going to stick with my receivers. Jaden Reed, they're playing Jacksonville.
That's
They had a
yeah,
good victory, so I think Jaden Reed's due for another bounce back week. Jamar
yeah,
Chase, I mean, that's going to be a shootout against Philly, so that's a no
yeah. They're gonna have
brainer.
to
And then
toss the ball.
yeah, so I'm still rolling with Bake. I'm going to be interested to see how this week pans out. So, but he's got to be the guy, right? So I'm still going to stick
Yeah.
with Bake. And then I got right now I got Houston's defense, versus Indianapolis. So I'm going to stick with Houston's D. They've been, they had double digits last week too. So I went with Miami against Indianapolis, and they both produced double digit points, but from a fantasy perspective. But I'm going to roll with Houston's defense this week. So
There
it
you
should
go.
be right now I'm projected to get 113.82. He's projected to get 115.31. So you know, but yeah, he's got Brian Thomas Jr. going against Green Bay. I think they're gonna be able to kind of shut him down. And plus, it's supposed to be raining at Jack over
Oof.
there,
Yeah.
so I think it's gonna be more of a run game. But he's got Josh Jacobs, so we'll see.
I guess
How
the
about you? How
Jaguars.
you looking? How you looking? How
I
you
mean,
prepping?
what I'm a little concerned about is quarterback because I lost Jane Daniels. I don't think he's gonna play against the Bears, um, which sucks. I was like, man, he's because now I don't have Fields because of Russell Wilson. So I'm like, man. So I had to go back to my old guy, Anthony Richardson. I'm actually starting him against your Houston defense, since he performed
Mariota?
well. I
Mariota?
don't know. I don't know if I'm against the Bears because that Bears defense is rough. I think, if you're
Yeah,
starting the Bears defense, you're gonna have a good week with them. I think
sure.
Washington's gonna struggle without Jane Daniels. But yeah, I think, Anthony Richardson, he had the good week 1 against Houston. He looked good against them last year too. So I'm like, I'm gonna roll the dice there. In our league, fifth against quarterbacks in terms of points allowed, so that's pretty high.
Yeah,
And then, I got Justin Jefferson Thursday night, Malik Neighbors against the Steelers, so I'm a little nervous about that, but you got to roll with your dogs. Uh,
sure.
hoping I can freaking get Jonathan Taylor back for once, man. I'm like, come on, baby, you're my keeper pick. I'm very excited though about Devon Achane this week against the Cardinals. I think he should smash. them, especially with Tua coming back. So I'm like, come on, baby.
Still can't believe it.
Njoku, I feel good about Njoku. J.K. Dobbins against the Saints. I mean, we just saw how crappy they looked, so
Yeah,
I think we'll be okay there. And then kicker defense, they're always kind of whatever. I did pick up, or what? Actually, I'll say this. One nice thing too is Nick Chubb actually looked pretty good in his return. So I mean, he didn't have the most yardage, but got the touchdown. So I'm going to set him again this week against Baltimore. I don't think that's really a. I mean, it could be because they allow a lot of air yards. They're going to start Jameis Winston, so he actually might be a sneaky play this week, dude.
yeah.
But it's still kind of like fresh. I'm like, maybe I'll let him, unless Jonathan Taylor sits, let him kind of, figure it out. And
I
then I
mean,
have
he had
Jawan
11.
Jennings.
Yeah, you picked up Jawan Jennings.
I picked up Jawan Jennings. I think, man, he's going to be, you got
Yeah,
Debo and Ayuk out, so he's on my IR right now. So I see what happens with him, but yeah,
yeah. I think that was a good pickup for sure. Yeah, I think Chubb. He had 11 carries, which was pretty nice to see. And I think he had 3 catches, so 14 total touches, which was good. First game back.
yeah, yeah. I,
So
I know Ford was out, so I kind of enhanced it, but I mean, hey, he wasn't injured, and they gave him pretty much most of his touches in the first half, and he handled it okay. So
yeah,
I think he'll be a good piece this year. Surprisingly, in fantasy, I feel like he's going to be a lot better than people thought. So, but yeah, I feel like I guess we could just wrap it up. Do you have any potential sleeper guys, or you feel like we nailed them all pretty much?
I mean, I think at this point in the season, there's just, it's kind of slim pickings out there. One thought that I had when you were talking about keepers and hopefully they play, the intention of keepers is not to keep them in the IR spot or on the bench. So
Yeah,
it's kind of that's kind of been the theme this year,
yeah,
at least for you and I. But yeah, I think Ott was a good one. I think that's going to be the guy that Baker's going to lean to, you know. And like I picked up Shakira because he's coming back, and with what's been happening in Buffalo and Josh Allen, and he likes to air it out. So and he's
he
been their
does.
speed guy and their big play guy. So I think that's good. As far as any other sleeper picks, I don't really have too much right now. How about you? You got anything? Anybody?
I
Any
feel
other
like
positions you're eyeing?
I feel like Khalil Shakir uh was a good piece because when they go to Seattle, like Seattle's good at shutting down the outside guys. So I feel like, with Shakir in the slot, it is going to open them up a bit. And yeah, obviously we talked about Kate Otten. If you're looking
Hmm.
for a long-term guy, I would say Keon Coleman's kind of looking on the up and coming too. I mean, he just had the big
Yeah,
game. Uh, but I think he's gonna be a little volatile because now you got Cooper, you got Kincaid, you got Shakir. So I feel like,
yeah,
those guys command more targets than him, so he'll be more the big play guy. Um, but if you're looking for maybe like a weak fill-in, I mean, I feel like Romo Dunze has a pretty good, or Dunze, however you say his last name, it has a good matchup against Washington.
yeah,
Um, Alan Lazard, man, he's still kind of like a sneaky decent play, man. I feel like, if you want to mess around and or if you need some security in your lineup, he might be a guy to give a shot. And then
yeah.
if you want to take another big shot, like this one's kind of more of a risky, but could be a high upside play. Rashad Bateman against the Browns. I feel like,
Yep.
man, he's been kind of big play worthy lately. So if you're looking for a big play guy, then he could be your guy. So
Yeah, I was. I'm glad you said that because I was kind of looking at him too, and I forgot about Rashad Bateman. And then for me too, like Sterling Shepard, for Tampa Bay or
yeah, he's
McMillan,
kind of
those
nice. Yeah.
are Jalen McMillan. I mean, I think Shepard for me personally, I would lean more towards Shepard and Otten than McMillan. But if you need some depth, those are some targets that could be good for people that need some depth at receiver.
Yeah. Trey Palmer too is kind of like a random play, big play guy too. So see how they use him. But
You know
but
what?
yeah,
Another pick that I've kind of been eyeing is Hunter Henry. The last 2 weeks, man, double digit points at the tight end.
yes. If he's
And
available, I would snag him if he knew tight end.
yeah, so May seems to really have a good connection with him, and it's showing week to week. He had 8 receptions, 92 yards this past week against Jacksonville over in London. So that was And then he had 3 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown the week before. He's got 14 total targets the last 2 weeks, 18 the last 3 weeks. So, I think, yeah, if you're looking for a tight end, definitely Hunter Henry, man, swoop him up.
Yeah, I think the three must-ads have to be Juwan Jennings, Kate Otten, and Hunter Henry for sure for
Yeah.
this coming week. Troy Franklin, actually, yeah, before we wrap up, Troy Franklin too. I'm gonna throw one more guy out there. He's kind of on the ascending role too. Him and Bo Nix had the connection in college, so seems like it's kind of translating to the NFL now.
Yeah.
But
Oh, another two, I think, Tyler Lockett with DK Metcalf
yeah,
going
with DK
down,
down,
Lockett and Smith and Jigba.
yeah,
You were high on Smith and Jigba early in the season. Could be
yeah,
another good target for people that might need some receiver help.
picking back up.
Yep.
I do need receiver help, maybe. Well, I don't know. I got neighbors in Jefferson, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram. Feel free to too. Nobody's left any comments or any input, but if you guys ever want to hear about anything or have a deep dive on anything, feel free to do that. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, thanks so much for watching, supporting as always, and hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Alrighty.